In 2007, Barcelona had a teenager who looked destined to become one of the greatest players in football. He was breaking records, scoring goals, and playing alongside Lionel Messi. Some people even believed he could become the next Messi. But something went terribly wrong. His career would take him from Barcelona to clubs around Europe. And eventually, the player everyone expected to become a superstar was almost forgotten. So, what happened to Bojan Krkic? Before the world knew Bojan Krkic as a forgotten wonder kid, he was one of the most exciting young players at Barcelona. Bojan joined Barcelona's youth academy, La Masia, as a young boy. And very quickly, it became obvious that he was different. He was incredibly quick, technically gifted, and had a natural instinct for scoring goals. At youth level, Bojan was scoring at an incredible rate. By the time he was a teenager, Barcelona already knew they had something special. But then came a moment that changed everything. In 2007, at just 17 years old, Bojan was called up to Barcelona's first team. He was no longer just a promising academy player. He was playing alongside some of the biggest stars in world football. And suddenly, the question wasn't whether Bojan could become a star. It was how big of a star he could become. And Bojan didn't take long to prove that he belonged. In November 2007, just months after making his first team debut, Bojan scored his first goal for Barcelona against Recreativo. He was only 17 years old, but that was just the beginning. During his first season, Bojan scored 12 goals for Barcelona and became one of the most exciting young players in Europe. Then came the Champions League. In April 2008, Bojan scored the winning goal against Schalke in the quarterfinals. And with that goal, he became the first player born in the 1990s to score in the competition. At just 17, Barcelona had a teenager who was scoring in the biggest games. And while Lionel Messi was already becoming a superstar, Bojan was developing right beside him. The future looked almost perfect. But behind the goals and the headlines, something was beginning to change. Because the expectations surrounding Bojan were becoming enormous. But there was a side of Bojan's story that fans couldn't see. At just 17, he was already playing at the highest level of football, and the expectations were getting bigger every week. Every goal was another reason to call him the next superstar. Every bad game was another reason to question him. Then in 2008, Bojan made a decision that surprised many people. He decided not to go to the European Championship with Spain. The reason wasn't an injury. Bojan was exhausted. He had played 64 matches in just 12 months across club and international football. And later, he spoke openly about the anxiety he experienced during that period. For a teenager, the pressure had become enormous. But Bojan wasn't giving up. He returned to Barcelona and continued fighting for his place. The problem was, Barcelona was changing too, and a new manager was about to change Bojan's future. When Pep Guardiola took over Barcelona, the club entered a completely different era. Barcelona became almost unstoppable. Messi was becoming the face of the team. Samuel Eto'o, Thierry Henry, and later Zlatan Ibrahimovic were competing for places in attack. And Bojan? He was still scoring. In the 2009-10 season, he scored 12 goals for Barcelona. But there was a problem. Scoring wasn't enough. At Barcelona, you weren't just competing against other young players. You were competing against some of the best footballers in the world. And every time Bojan got his chance, he had to prove that he deserved another one. Then came the 2010-11 season. Bojan was given the number 9 shirt after Ibrahimovic left. It looked like a huge opportunity. But Messi, David Villa, and Pedro were ahead of him in the attack. Bojan still scored important goals, but his minutes became harder to find. And slowly, the dream of becoming Barcelona's next superstar began to disappear. By 2011, Bojan had to make a decision: stay and fight for place, or leave the club that had been his entire footballing world. In the summer of 2011, Bojan finally made his decision. After 4 seasons with Barcelona's first team, he was leaving the club. Not because he had failed completely. Bojan had scored 41 official goals for Barcelona. He had won 3 La Liga titles. He had won the Champions League twice. But something was missing. He never became the star everyone expected him to become. And now, at just 20 years old, Bojan was moving to Italy, as Roma paid Barcelona 12 million euros for him. For Bojan, this was supposed to be a fresh start. A new country, a new league, a new team, and most importantly, a chance to finally become the player everyone believed he could be. But instead of restarting his career, Bojan was about to enter the most complicated period of his football life. Bojan arrived in Rome with something he hadn't had at Barcelona: freedom. He was no longer playing in Messi's shadow. He had a new team, a new league, and a chance to prove himself. But things didn't go as planned. In his first season with Roma, Bojan scored 7 goals in 37 appearances. Not terrible, but for a player who had once been compared to Messi, it wasn't enough. Then came another move, Academy Milan. And once again, Bojan found himself fighting for playing time. After just one season, he was on the move again, this time to Ajax. And strangely enough, Ajax was where things finally started to look better. Bojan helped Ajax win the Eredivisie title in 2014. But by then, something had changed. He wasn't the wonder kid everyone was waiting to become a superstar anymore. He was simply trying to find a club where he could feel at home. And then came the move that shocked many people. England, Stoke City. Then came Stoke City. In 2014, Bojan moved to England, hoping to finally find stability. And for a moment, it looked like he had. He became an important player for Stoke, and even scored some memorable goals. But injuries interrupted his progress, and the pattern continued. Another club, another league, another attempt to rebuild his career. Bojan played in Germany, Canada, and Japan before eventually stepping away from professional football. And when you look back at his career, it's easy to say that he failed. But that's not really the story. Bojan played for some of the biggest clubs in Europe. He won league titles. He played in the Champions League. And he scored more than 40 official goals for Barcelona. The real problem was the expectation. At 17 years old, Bojan wasn't simply expected to become a great footballer. He was expected to become the next Messi. And almost anyone would struggle under that comparison. Bojan never became the next Messi. But maybe he was never supposed to. Because behind every wonder kid is a real person. And sometimes, the biggest pressure doesn't come from the game. It comes from the expectations we create around it. Bojan Krkic didn't become the superstar everyone predicted. But his story is a reminder that not becoming a legend doesn't mean you failed. Bojan Krkic never became the next Messi. But maybe that was never the point. He didn't have the career everyone predicted. But he still achieved what millions of footballers dream of. So perhaps Bojan's story isn't a story about failure. It's a story about how difficult it is to live up to impossible expectations. And sometimes, you don't have to become the next Messi. You just have to become yourself. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more football stories like this.